Hi, I'm John and welcome to the Jigsaw Puzzler, as today we look at this fantastically fun puzzle to do. It's a Wacky World puzzle, one of a series of 6, 1,000 pieces produced by Crown & Andrews, and this one is Supermarket. The picture shows the interior of a supermarket, a cartoon style puzzle, a very busy image with all sorts of things going on. We have a person with a large number of balloons floating off into the ceiling. We have an inflatable bottle that has been punctured by a kid with a slingshot. We have a fellow on a ladder trying to repair a broken window. We have customers. We have a young fellow robbing the store using a banana as a weapon. We have oranges spilling out everywhere and bouncing around on the floors. We have kids running around. All sorts of crazy mayhem in this very, very busy puzzle. The quality of the puzzle is very high. In fact, it reminded me very much of this puzzle, That's Life, that I think I showcased some little while ago. This one is the restaurant kitchen puzzle. And both of them produced for Crown & Andrews, even though they are potentially different from different puzzle sources. I'm not quite sure whether they are actually made for the same company or by the same company, but That's Life and Wacky World, these crazy, busy, fun puzzle images. Right, now this puzzle I bought secondhand from an op shop in Raymond Terrace, just north of Newcastle. So for a couple of dollars, I got this puzzle. It is in excellent condition. It's complete, no missing pieces. The puzzle pieces themselves are of very high quality, quite thick cardboard, and no damage to them. It's not a fully tight fit, but not completely loose either. I can pick it up, and you can pick sections of it up as you do it, but it's going to come apart pretty easily. It is a ribbon cut puzzle, but there are some pieces that are not quite unusual shapes, but unusual dimensions. There are some pieces which seem to be really, really big, so the width of the cutter is quite wide, and others which are quite narrow and small. So it does have this sort of variation in cutter size across the puzzle. It has a matte finish, making it really, really easy to do under any kind of lighting condition. There's simply no reflection at all. The challenge with this one is the busyness, particularly this whole middle section here of the supermarket shelves. That's a real challenge, and if you watch the time lapse, you'll see that I practically went piece by piece, positioning pieces in the right place until they kind of came together and joined onto each other. That was the hardest part of the puzzle. I did the border first, the whole edge. I was missing a couple of pieces that I'd overlooked in my sorting trays, but that was okay. I just thought that I'd move on. And then I worked almost from the top down. The whole top section I did in parts. This awning here that is blue and yellow stripes, quite easy to pick those pieces out. The colours on the inflated or the deflating bottle, the hanging from the ceiling, they're not too hard to pick out. The balloons, the cloud pattern behind here, the blue of this stripe here, even though there are other sections of blue on the puzzle, like the front of the fruit and veg stands and the checkouts, not a huge amount of that particular shade of blue. That wasn't too hard to pull out. These two air conditioning ducts here with stripes on them, very easy to find. So I did those sections first. Then I noticed that the back wall here was a particular shade of purple, quite a light purple. And I was able to pull that out as well as these advertising posters. The window section here, also easy to pull out. It's the only part with plants on it. The fruit and veg obviously are plants, but they're distinctive in their own way. This has the word super in reverse on the window, and there's a car outside, so it wasn't hard to put that together. And then I pretty much did all of those bits. I did this red display, supermarket display down here pretty easily. This really distinctive yellow, green and pink soft drink display down here, and this strip of advertising around the checkouts. The other thing that wasn't too hard to pull out was these yellow lines that form the checkout area of the supermarket. I found that this was a puzzle that if you paid attention to the backgrounds, it was easier to put the puzzle together overall. So I did the purple background here, for example. I did the yellow stripes here for these checkout areas, and that meant that quite a number of pieces of the people lined up at the checkouts and pushing their shopping trolleys were done at the same time. This clown over here, purple with the spots on him or her, not hard to pull that out. So I just worked on background things. In the deli here, the tiles on the background wall here, it's the only part of the puzzle with those on it. I was able to pull that out. This very dark purple vending machine here, similarly the brown behind here in the cheese section, really easy to pull those out. So I found if you paid attention to small details and background things, quite a substantial part of the puzzle would come together. I pieced the shopping trolleys together. They're a particular shade of red that is unlike anything else. They're similar to the brown of the shelves, but not exactly the same. They're a much darker, richer red than these bright reds of the other things around. So did small bits and pieced those together and roughly put them into place. Then I noticed a few things about the shop displays of the products on the shelves. Firstly, this section down here is entirely made up of bottles. Now, there are small sections of bottles on other parts of the shelves, but this is just one massed section of bottles. So if I pulled bottle pieces out, it didn't take too long to put those together. This section here is entirely the fruit and vegetables. So there's this giant cabbage here and 3 tomatoes here on this advertising display, and there's a cabbage in this trolley, but other than that, there are very few vegetables and fruit anywhere else in the puzzle. So putting that together wasn't too hard, and because I pulled out a lot of the blue when I was doing this section up the top, I had the blue of the front of that cabinet too. There are some distinctive colours here in very small quantities. There is a person dressed up as a sausage here, presumably some sort of promotional activity, looking like they're either getting very cranky at the deli selling sausages or ordering sausages for themselves. So a bit hard to interpret that, but it does look cranky on its face. So that's a distinct shade of brown. There is this person here with a very pale yellow shirt, and this person down here looks like a chef. He's got his whites on, is pretty much the only part of the puzzle with white on it. Actually, he's not a chef, he's one of the deli staff, because he's chasing a dog with a chain of sausages. Okay, so he's one of these 4 deli staff. There's tiny bits of white with them, but this is the biggest section of white on the entire puzzle. So I was able to piece together all these small bits and kind of roughly put them into their spots. There's a customer here, a woman in very dark purple. There's a woman in the middle in a lighter sort of mid-range purple, which contrasts with the very pale purple of this wall. So they came together pretty quickly. There's a balloon in the middle and a piece of advertising just here. That came together all right. And then it was simply a matter of working my way through these shelves. couple of things I did notice along the way. Firstly, the top of the very back row of the cabinets here in the shop is a much paler colour, and it has a very fine pink stripe on it, on the front of it. And that helped me when I found a piece that looked like the shelves. It told me that was part of that back row. Okay, so that created a nice defining edge there for me. Then I really did work piece by piece. There are cans and packets and small bottles all over this section of the shop, and I simply had to find the right ones. Many of them are quite distinctive. Many of them in a cluster have the only pattern of that design on them. So when you find a piece with a particular design, you're probably finding the only example of it in the entire shop. So for example, there are these tins here that have got a green label with a yellow oval shape on the front of them in this section here. Over here there are similar tins, but they have a white oval on them. And here the white oval has got writing, indistinct writing in the middle of it. So there are slight variations all over that tell you where each of those pieces go. Then I moved on to the people. Obviously there's a crowd of people here. I don't know how many people are in this image. It would take me a little bit to kind of figure it out, because there are people tucked in down the back here. There's here tops of heads, and there's this kid with this balloon floating away. All sorts of people all over it. So I started to piece the remains of the people together, and that really started to bring the whole puzzle together once I was doing the shelving and the people. That left me with only a handful of pieces really for this extensive dark blue-grey floor area. It looks big and intimidating, but actually if you piece together some of these other sections, you've got hardly any of the floor left at the end, and that's pretty much what I was left with. So I enjoyed this puzzle. It was a challenge, but not too challenging. It was interesting because there is so much going on here. It's a fun puzzle to do because you find, if you pay attention to the details, you see all sorts of crazy things going on. You see spillages out of bottles, you see people throwing things, you see this child whizzing around here, following the trail here, whizzing around pushing a shopping trolley. You see this kid here running around, I think having taken mum's money or credit card here, and mum's giving chase. There's a chicken and a mouse and a cat and a dog down this side. There's a security guard here having a nice chat to the woman selling the soft drinks. He's the security guard, and this fellow is alerting him to the fact that there's a hold-up. He seems very uninterested in that. All sorts of little bits and pieces going on here. So have a look at the time lapse. I enjoyed this one. They're a pretty satisfying puzzle to do, the Wacky World puzzles. This is the second Wacky World puzzle that I've done. We've done one not in this particular series. I don't think it was. No, but just another one from that brand. And I really enjoyed it. So if you could click like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. On with the time lapse, and thank you for watching.